Levi, if you would.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for allowing us to gather this evening for our board meeting. Just ask that you be with, first off, be with all of our citizens, be with our community, be with our county. We know that there's a lot of prayer requests out there from some folks that's going through some hard times, and we ask that you lay your hands upon them. Thank you for the weather and the rain that we've been having for our ground and our crops, and we appreciate that, and just thank you for all the blessings you give us. Be with our meeting tonight, be with the decisions that we make, be with our citizens, and just let us have a wonderful, wonderful evening. In Jesus' name, amen.
Yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next is get our quorum.
And I'll go ahead and call the roll. Start with Ms. Bechtel.
Present.
Thank you. Ms. Kickabook.
Here.
Mr. Cox.
Here.
Mr. Booth.
Here.
And Mr. Turner.
Here.
100%.
All right. Next, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda. Does anyone have anything you want to add to it?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Motion is second. We call the roll.
All right. On the motion to approve the agenda, Mr. Booth.
Yes.
Ms. Kickabook.
Yes.
Ms. Bechtel.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
And Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right. That is approved.
Next is the approval of the monthly disbursements. Do you have any questions?
I just have one on the third one, the fifth one.
Yeah.
What number of payment is that? Is that the,
21.
Well, that's invoice.
that's the invoice number, but I was,
But I couldn't tell you which payment. that
okay.
is.
But,
But that's the A1A number 21.
right,
As far as HVAC and reporting purposes.
right. And then, if memory serves me, we'll probably have two more and then the final, give or take.
Yeah,
Something
recent-
like-
Yeah, a recent conversation with, the school, where it's almost there.
Right,
So, and they said 3 to 4 more, so you're accurate.
okay. I just wanted to make sure. There's so much going on, sometimes I get mixed up on it, so. That was all I had, sir.
Anyone else have a question? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the disbursements.
I'll make that motion for approval of all 3 disbursement packages.
I'll second.
Motion is second. We can call the roll.
On your motion to approve all 3 packets of disbursements as presented, Ms. Kickabook.
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Ms. Bechtel.
Yes.
Mr. Booth.
Yes,
And Mr. Turner.
Yes.
All right, those are approved, and if I might, just a point of personal privilege, thank Kim and Chris and several other folks. It has been a bumpy ride with trying to get stuff to print, and it's been reprinted and all that, and it's just taken a lot of effort. Angie's even been coming back and helping quite a bit, so really, you have no idea how frustrating it's been, so thank you for that opportunity.
All right, next will be our public comment. Before I open the floor, it is the intent that all persons attending the meeting of the board, regardless of handicap and conditions, shall have an opportunity to participate. If any person present requires any special assistance, please let the board know in order that arrangements can be made. When I open the floor for public comment, limit your comments to 4 minutes. When you come to the podium, State your name and the district you're from. Do you have a sign-up sheet?
Anybody else need to sign up?
You can call them out if you want to.
Okay. Oh, you guys are quizzing me here at the end. Okay, the first person who is signed up is Kelly Yates.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Yates, and I live in the Locust Grove District. I'm a lifelong resident in Floyd County and a property owner, of which 2 of my properties are located on Timberline Road. Hill Holler LLC purchased a property in this neighborhood with the stated intention of relocating Floyd Fest. I'm here tonight to tell every citizen in Floyd County that there is something that can be done to prevent this from happening. The buck stops here, in this room, with the Board of Supervisors who sit in front of us tonight. You have the power and the responsibility to stop this potential development from happening. The comprehensive plan of Floyd County was adopted by the Board of Supervisors on October 9th, 2012. I find this passage from the executive summary to be quite poignant considering the topic at hand. To protect the remaining treasured lands and landscape in much of the county, thoughtful limits need to be placed on development. For example, at present, the vast majority of the land in the county could have future use determined by the highest bidder, who may never live in the community. These uses could be very detrimental to working farms, water supplies, or existing homes and businesses. There's no better example of exactly this situation than Hill Holler's purchase of their proposed site. They've chosen to locate in a thriving residential community of approximately 100 homes in the Timberline, Graysville, Meadow Run, and 221 polygon that surrounds the proposed site. These homes are mostly habited by individuals who are either native to the county or have chosen Floyd County as their retirement community for peaceful living. It is an extremely poor decision to locate an event venue of any kind in this community, and it is in direct conflict with the comprehensive plan. Additionally, the comprehensive plan includes a future property use map on which the property purchased by Hill Holler LLC is denoted for future continued agricultural use. A further look at the Floyd County GIS shows an administrative overlay titled Potential Growth Areas. This overlay specifically excludes the majority of the property purchased by Hill Holler. From these 2 local government maps, it is clear that this is not an area for commercial development, and it is the wrong location for an event venue of any kind. Section 6 of the Floyd County Ordinance deals with amusements and entertainments. Under 6-33, it states, "No person shall stage, promote, or conduct any musical or entertainment festival in the county unless he shall first have obtained from the board a special entertainment permit for such festival." By announcing the new location in Floyd Fest and showing video and pictures of the site, Floyd Fest is essentially advertising, and it appears promoting their music festival without a permit. If they will not follow the first rule in your regulations, what makes anyone think that they will follow the others? The comprehensive plan and the county code have been adopted by the Board of Supervisors, and therefore they have an obligation to uphold them. The board has the authority to stop this move from occurring by denying any application for any event or festival on the proposed site. And that is what I ask of the board tonight, to deny any permit application on grounds that such event would violate the comprehensive plan, and that event management appears to already be in violation of that part of the county code. I urge the board to deny Hill Holler and its various business entities the opportunity to write check. Thank you.
Mary Ann Jackson?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Mary Ann Jackson from Locust Grove District. I live on Timberline Road. As Kelly quoted too, I refer back to the Floyd County Comprehensive Plan approved on October 9th, 2012. Historically, the county was first settled by people who enjoyed the mountains and the independence they engendered. Today, Floyd Countyans of all types have a strong love of place, The farms and forest lands are still cherished by those who have chosen to stay or come here, as is the attitude of live and let live. In choosing to move here, my family and I relied on these words from this plan, and the idea that we were moving to a place with people like us who believe in preserving the land, not turning it into a playground for the rich. So my question to the board is whether this community is to be led in accordance with this plan, or if it is to be ignored to indulge the wealthy. Because if that is the case, then I can tell you from direct experience that you are setting a disastrous precedent for this county. By permitting the use of prime farmland to be used for anything other than farming, you would be making it much more difficult for farmers like us. The impact of your decisions could mean that myself and my neighbors must assume much more risk than the rest of the county. Because these risks accrue to us, and the promised but not yet realized benefits are dispersed broadly across the entire county, means that the county should have far less influence on decisions than us, not more. To be clear, living in our society does not mean that my rights cease to exist simply because I'm outnumbered. That is mob mentality and has no place here. So I ask that you deny any application that proposes that farmland be used for any activity but farming. Say no to the empty promises of cash. It's a bad deal. Thank you.
And I'm struggling with the other one.
That's all right.
310 Locust Road?
That's gonna be me.
That's you? Okay.
I'm gonna waive my right today. I'll do it another time. I think these two ladies have spoken very well. I choose to wait.
Unless there's anyone else, Mr. Chair, we also have 3 letters that have been sent to us to share, asked specifically to share with the board. Oh, okay, 2 had approval to accept. So, and then there's a 3rd one that just is in your correspondence. So unless there's someone else who'd like to speak, I think he's got them pulled up.
Go ahead.
This was an email sent on July 24th.
Oh.
Thank you, Chris. And it was requested to read at the board. Dear Dr. Millsaps, change can be so challenging. I remember when residents of Floyd were upset over building the new library and moving the post office to a place with parking. I remember reading about a few town residents being upset that there was a plan to build a public restroom in Floyd to accommodate our visitors. Time has passed, and the changes have worked out well. My husband and I are business owners in Floyd and have been for years. Streamline Timber Frame is a proud sponsor of Floyd Fest. We have attended every year. Floyd Fest has given our company the opportunity to showcase our business. Everywhere we travel, people recognize our hometown because of Floyd Fest. People from all over have come here and they remember our company in stages. We meet customers at Floyd Fest and get new customers from Floyd Fest. We have friends and businesses in Floyd that also do well at Floyd Fest. Through the years, we have enjoyed big name bands and found new bands to follow. Some of my personal favorites were Emmylou Harris, Alison Krauss, and Del McElroy. Our company has sponsored Folks Soul Revival from Southwest Virginia, American Aquarium from Raleigh, North Carolina, and the Deer Run Drifters from Floyd. What a joy it is to be able to sponsor our favorite bands. We have had the pleasure of seeing local bands play at Floyd Fest and with their music showcased for large audience. The list of local and closed by musicians featured at Floyd Fest is long, but here are the few that I mentioned: Scott Perry, the Mike Mitchell Band, Mason Villa, Music Road Company, and the Wildmans, the Floorboards, the Isaac Hayden Project, Black Mountain Revival, Buell Mule, The Dead Reckoning, Exit 109 Bluegrass, J.P. Harris, Dan Timaniski, and Floyd County's very own rising star, Morgan Wade. Floyd has a lot to be proud of, and I'm glad Floyd Fest does not overlook local talent. The music is only one of the reasons we love the festival. The time spent with friends is precious. So many of our friends travel to Floyd and spend money in the county. People that know me know that my grandson is one of my most valued treasures. Every year he goes to Floyd Fest with us. He spends time listening to music, riding his bike on the bike trails, eating festival food, and hanging out with old family friends. There is absolutely no way we would ever place him in danger. When you attend the festival, you see many neighbors and friends. Many folks bring their kids. Floyd Fest is known for its children's universe. They have activities, music, and magic acts, especially for children. I say all this to say the recent headlines of Floyd Fest being a public danger and threat is not even close to reality. The only needles I have ever seen at Floyd Fest are, in fact, pine needles. Every year we go up to the site a week after the festival to retrieve tarps from the stages. The site cleanup is unmatched. The festival uses portable toilets, and the company that rents them cleans them daily. Any RVs dump in an RV dump site, and that are not on festival grounds. The parking at the festival site is not paved and is returned to hayfield after the festival. I can understand people being concerned about trash and environmental impact, but Floyd Fest has always returned the land to excellent condition. In all my years attending Floyd Fest, I have never seen drunk people walking up and down public roads.
Excuse me,
I
I
Well-
think that's over 4
well,
minutes.
No,
I didn't put the time on.
you didn't put the timer, okay.
Because we're reading it again.
It's over 4 minutes.
Okay, we'll cut her off. Okay, we'll just put it on the end
Go
of
to
the
the next
record.
one?
Yep,
Okay.
go to the next one.
Where does that person live?
I just have the name, it doesn't designate where.
We can't- we can't- we can't.
What's the name?
Rhonda Arthur.
Who?
No, we're getting out of hand now. We're not gonna have this. You know, we show y'all respect. Opposing views get the same respect, even though I don't always agree with everything. You know, we gotta keep it civil anyway. Okay, yes, ma'am. She didn't set the clock.
Please start the
We
timer,
understand.
even though even though you agree with the person, go ahead and start the timer.
May I go?
I'm sorry.
Should I go to the next one?
Yeah, go on to the next one. Make sure you set the time.
Yeah.
This is from David Lander, MD. Dear Floyd County Administrator and Board of Supervisors, I'm writing to you to pass along information and opinion about Floyd Fest. My family and I have lived in the Locust Grove area for 41 years. Since the event began, I have been a volunteer organizer of the First Aid Tent. I am not an employee of the fest, nor do I have any financial interest in it. I have been at the fest site all day, every day for every year it has run. For many years, I have served as the OMD for both of Floyd's rescue agencies. As the festival grew, I recruited the Blacksburg Volunteer Rescue Squad to provide an on-site crewed ambulance to take pressure off Floyd and Patrick County's rescue squads. Personally, I am not generally a music festival fan. This is the only one I ever go to. But Floyd Fest is a nice community function with pretty darn safe. My wife and I have allowed both our children to attend when they were kids. No large gathering is perfect, no group of people immune to bad judgment, but some of the stuff I have read about Floyd Fest recently seems based on fear, not facts. Fact, I have never seen a needle at the Floyd Fest, except for the ones we use for medical care. We have never treated a narcotics overdose at the tent. Most of the patients are people with bee stings, poison ivy, cuts, and sprains. Once in a while, we have had a serious fracture or a heart attack. And yes, alcohol is consumed, and some people can overdo it, but there is virtually no interpersonal violence, something I have unfortunately encountered many times in my 40-plus years as an ER doctor. I think the Floyd Fest organizers have always tried hard to make it safe and family-oriented. The crowd is uniformly mellow, with lots of little kids, moms and dads, as well as older folks. My effort, along with countless medical staff volunteers, contribute to make the festival a safe environment. I hope my experience can help you in approaching the issue, and thanks for your attention. David Landon, MD.
At all comes,
Yes, And so if I might, Mr. Chair, we received one more in the mail, but we did not have a way to contact them to double check if they wanted it read. So it's in your correspondence. And if we hear from them that they would like it read, then we will, of course, take care of that at the next meeting. But you do have it available because it was addressed.
Okay.
And those are the three letters that I received since the last meeting.
With that, I'll declare the public comment period over with. Next on the agenda is board time. Anyone have anything?
Yes, and I do want this specifically for the minutes. I have contacted and been in contact with David Clark, and we are going to meet and look about the sidewalks on Penn Avenue. So we're gonna assess them and look at, see what we can come up with. That's all I had, sir.
Who takes care of the timing on these crosswalk lights?
VDOT.
VDOT?
Let me know.
Yeah, VDOT.
I
Yeah.
got enough problems.
Yeah, because, yeah.
You don't wanna take that one on? What have you run into, so I can pass it on?
I was just noticing the other day, sometimes they shut off a little quicker. You don't get halfway across. I noticed a lot of people would start across and then all of a sudden it says don't walk.
I'll
With the
get-
count,
Yeah.
is it still counting down though?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No.
I'll give David a call tomorrow and ask him,
Okay.
him or Darrell.
I just happened to be,
Because they've been playing with it back and forth. It seemed like it was on forever.
Yeah.
Then it was coming on with nobody pushing the buttons. They got that fixed, so I'll bring it up with him tomorrow.
okay.
Well, I was just gonna say, which is probably a hot topic right now, but, in my district, obviously, we got a lot going on with the Floyd Fest. So it's why a lot of the people are here today, but, you know, this may be something maybe we need to look at on the agenda or something. This may not be the appropriate time, but I thought I'd at least get it out there. But if we can, I think there's this thought that there's a vote coming up that we're voting on for Floyd Fest. And, you know, if we can at least maybe get some transparency to the public at least to say what our position, where we're at on that at the moment. Because it's the more we don't tell them, the more is believed and assumed. So if we could maybe have something incorporated into an agenda coming up that we could speak to those matters or something perhaps, but just, I don't know if y'all got any comments on that or not.
Well, I'll go to Steve. As far as the festival ordinance, they either meet the criteria in the ordinance or they don't, and that's handled by staff. This board, I don't ever remember this board voting to approve permits. Is that correct or wrong?
I'm not sure what your practice has been. I mean, generally,
Well, it'd be like subdivision ordinance or any other permitting,
Generally-
building permits. I'm just asking. I've not sat here, and I've been on this board for 17 years off and on, and I don't remember us ever voting one way or the other, actually voting to grant a permit or not. That's usually handled by staff. Since we're an administrative, now we have the option, and there may be a vote if we go into the festival ordinance and change it. Is that
If we have a
sound?
revision of the ordinance.
Yeah, do a revision of the ordinance, which I'm not opposed to. There's some things in there I think that got changed that should have never been changed, but that's
Right.
just me.
well, I'll say typically, administration of any ordinance is delegated to staff.
Right.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything where the board actually takes official action to issue a permit.
Right.
There are criteria set forth in the current ordinance that requires an application no later than 30 days before the festival is to be staged. But if they meet the criteria, and there is some reasonable discretion I think the county has in terms of, is this a reasonable safety plan for having security there? Is this a reasonable plan for sanitation? Is this a reasonable plan for parking? For lighting, et cetera. But if they meet the criteria stated in the ordinance, the permit should be issued. These should be neutral criteria that.
Well, the point I was getting at, I was trying to go to your.
Right.
I've heard some stuff too.
And I don't mean to
about-
put Steve on the spot.
Well, no.
Either, but
I put him on
we
the
just
hook all
need
the
to.
time.
I think we need to talk about this a little bit.
And I'm just reading from what is currently adopted.
Right.
The
Right.
law in Floyd County right now has these criteria.
Right.
Well,
And that's what I need.
What I'm responding to is you talking about this board having a vote.
Having a vote.
As far as the permit being issued, I don't think this board votes on that. But we can, we can go into the.
Well, then
festival.
going back to where that question posed from, a member of my district sent a Facebook message to me, and just said, hey, if you vote yes for this Floyd Fest, and then he went on to say what his thoughts were. And my response back was, well, I appreciate your concern of the matter and your thoughts, but I don't know what we're voting on at the moment, so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I was trying to get at, and I wanted to hear it from him. We set the policy, and then staff issues permits based on the criteria in those policies, which we can go into that, and we can change all the criteria in the world. But as far as us actually voting yes or no to issue a permit, that's not our.
Right, and that's what I wanted some transparency on.
Right.
Yeah.
If I could just quote a few, or make a few observations. 6-33C says, it shall be the duty of the county administrator to inquire into the application for permit and, after diligent study of the nature of application, to so advise the applicant if the applicant falls within the exempt status, et cetera. There is some ambiguous language. It says, like for
That's in
D,
front
it
of
says
your
if the
mic.
board denies a permit for any reason. The refusal,
No,
Please.
if the board denies a permit for any reason, the refusal shall be in writing, and the reasons for such denial stated therein, and mailed by the county administrator to the applicant at the address indicated. So there is some language that
If
you
I
can look
may,
to say that, well, it's the board that's
I
making a
think-
decision. But the gloss on that is if since 1977, when this has been in place, if the board has never voted on it to issue a permit, I think the
And
practice.
while it doesn't say that, I think that is part of an appeal process. We have a similar, even though it's not what it says specifically, it's kind of like our subdivision ordinance. It goes to the planning commission and through that process. And then the only way this board would act on a plat or something is if their decision is appealed to us.
Right.
And I think, and that does, of course, going back as far as the wording wasn't worded that way, but I think that was the intent, that if staff, let's say staff denied somebody a permit, I don't care who, then if they felt like they had been and wrongly turned down, then they could appeal to this board, then this board would make a decision. And of
Right.
course, then after that, it's circuit court. Same process with the
Right.
subdivision ordinance.
So it sounds like there's some clarifications that we
We
could
need
easily
a very
make.
big clarification.
So maybe we should,
Well,
Put that-
I attended was invited and attended to a concerned citizens group meeting about the festival last week, and I think part of the outcome may be that they're gonna try to maybe speak on the agenda about maybe a revision to the ordinance, or a subcommittee to look at that.
And that's
So-
something you certainly can do, because there is some ambiguity here. On the one hand, there is language that would support the board issuing or revoking permits, but then, if you look at 6-34-7, the plan for adequate parking facilities shall be approved by the county sheriff, the Virginia Department of Transportation, and any
Right.
other applicable agency. fire protection shall be approved by the county's emergency management coordinator. Outdoor lighting shall be under the administration of the Floyd County building official, and so on and so on. So.
Well, that's what I was saying. I don't remember as sitting as a board member approved, there's been a lot of church functions that's fallen under this. Just in yoga jam, various functions through the years. And I don't recall, I mean, you can do some research, they might have when I wasn't on the board, but while I was on it, I don't remember us voting to approve any permits.
I
Well, since I've been here.
haven't been to all the meetings, but I don't recall that ever being the case, that the board voted to issue a permit. That's-
Right.
And typically, that's not how it's done.
Well,
A permit's usually issued by staff.
Right.
If they check the boxes, they're in compliance, the permit
Now,
issues.
we have the authority to set the criteria for that with whatever the state code allows us to do. Right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
You're allowed to establish reasonable criteria to protect public health, safety, and welfare.
Okay. Right. And I didn't mean to take over, Levi, I didn't mean to.
No, that's fine. I
just-
just wanted to get a
that's
little
what-
transparency out there.
Well, that's what I wanted to get it
Thank you,
clear,
Steve.
that how the process works.
Right.
I thought we had already had a discussion that once we got through this budget and get everything allocated and we got some breathing room, we was gonna take up this festival ordinance and
And
look
And
at it
others.
again.
And the solid waste
Yeah,
ordinance.
Right,
and
both
go
of them.
over them again. It's not like we just threw it out and not gonna pay any attention to it.
Right.
We're gonna go into it again and see what we can and can't do.
Right.
Yeah.
I'd like to speak, please.
No, ma'am.
May I?
Right.
So, Kim, I need to give you a special thank you. I went to the Chamber of Commerce meeting today, and I was told to pass on how helpful you've been with working on the street names and road number meshing. So there was a lot of gratitude, and I'd just like to say thank you for helping the chamber. And I'd like to say thank you to all my peers, that we've struggled through a lot of things, and it looks like we've got a lot more on our plate, and I appreciate everybody working together and being civil. So, and all the staff too, thank you.
I should have clarified on our board member time. It's a discussion between us and staff about, as you can see, things that we've come up with this week or heard or something like that. It's a one-way street. If we go back to public comment, we end up in a debate and we don't get nothing accomplished. That's okay. It's fine. I know a lot of y'all, this is the first time I've seen you at the meetings and stuff, so you really probably don't know the procedure. And I get relaxed in my job sometimes, and I don't explain it like I should. So, no apologies necessary. All right, we'll move on to our old business, which looks like it's gonna be a closed session. So,
Steve, if I might, Mr. Chair, basically, the next your meeting is, two closed sessions essentially, so we'll go out, one time for both of these. And so this would be related to, the first is related to advanced manufacturing. And, the suggestion is go to closed session under 2.23711A3, discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or the disposition of publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating position of the body. And also 2.23711A5, discussion concerning a prospective business or industry or the expansion of an existing business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry's interest in locating or expanding its facilities in the community. And this, of course, is related to some economic development projects. And then also, if I might, under new business, a closed session related to facilities, particularly county facilities. And that would be 2.23711A3. discussion or consideration of the acquisition of real property for a public purpose or of the disposition of the publicly held real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating of the public body.
Okay,
Now, I'd like to request we add consultation with legal counsel on potential or actual litigation.
Which one is
You can do that, that's 2.2-3711A7. And is there a general umbrella topic that you
An
could-
update on the opioid situation and other,
pending or threatened litigation?
so I'll take a motion to go into closed session or 2.2, 3711, A3, A5, and A7.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second, call the roll.
All right. On the motion to go into closed session related to 2.23711A3, 2.23711A5, and 2.23711A7. Ms. Bechtold?
Yes.
Ms. Cookenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
Yes.
Mr. Booth?
yes.
And Mr. Terman?
Yes.
All right. And for those of you that are new, that means all the board members and Kim and I and Steve go to the other room, and Chris will
So moved. Second.
Aren't y'all ready? Wait a minute. Listen
Jerry,
up.
Linda.
On the motion to come out of closed session, Mr. Booth,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtel,
Yes.
Mr. Cox,
Yes.
and Mr. Terman.
Yes,
All right, we are out of closed session.
I'll take a certification motion that we only discuss those things we went into closed session for.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, call the roll.
Okay. On the motion to certify that we only discussed in closed session the items under which we went into closed session, Mr. Cox,
Yes.
Ms. Cookenbook,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtel,
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yes.
and Mr. Terman.
Yes, with the stipulation, I did step out of the room for a couple minutes.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
Let's take a quick break
Yes.
and come right back.
Sure.
We'll be back in session then. Dr. Millsap, floor is yours.
Thank you, sir. So, and I was, sorry, Mr. Cox, I was telling them in your absence, I had a few other things that I was adding to the list, but they're all like notifications, not like big decisions, so, bear with me just a little bit. But in terms of, I'll go through the list that I have that is already printed here. In terms of personnel update, those of you that have been in during the day know that we have a new building permit tech and administrative assistant up front, Sydney. And she's been here, I guess, about a week or so now, not even a week. But she's doing a great job, and especially using a computer system that is multiple times older than she is. So she's done a really good job. It's true, it's actually true. And we also have extended an offer that's been accepted for someone to take over Angie's role as well. So once they actually show up and start, we'll let you know who that is. But that's kind of always been my rule. Until they actually are here for their second day of work, that's it. Not just their first day, their second day after they come back. And in addition to that, Kim and I were looking yesterday and today, and the number of new hires that we have made in the last couple of months has been fairly extraordinary in terms of picking up. We've been really fortunate to pick up quite a few people for EMS. We've got quite a few people who are coming back, people who are moving from part-time to full-time. And yeah, and then on the transfer station side, we are now one short of back to fully staffed. And we kind of have somebody circling about that, so hopefully that will work. And so we're very excited about that, and some of the folks, we're getting really good reports from the transfer station about some of the new folks and their level of energy, and I see them out quite a bit, so I'm excited about that. So those are some really good, positive things. I haven't had a lot of really great things to say about those two, so I'm excited that we can now. Recreation update, of course, if you've been up to the park, I don't know if you've seen the state of the building. I was up there walking through it again today, and so all of the roof is on, and the doors are on, the windows are on, and pretty much on the exterior, the only thing that's missing is the large kind of garage door item. So as soon as that goes on, then it'll be fully enclosed. And then inside is all drywall and concrete, but everything is kind of spaced out and ready to go. It does have the one interior window that I requested in there that I get a lot of ribbing about. But I think it'll be really good space. We did have some discussion internally about when you actually go in there, you'll realize that the room that's kind of for coaches, meetings, and equipment is actually very sizable. And we discussed maybe putting a wall with a door in there so we could separate meeting area from equipment. And Jacob and I came to the decision, that instead we're going to go ahead and get more like the fabric dividers like you see at a convention center. So then as the needs change, we can move it back and forth, and candidly maybe allow the uniforms and things to aerate on occasion, as is sometimes required with sports equipment. So, but it is our intention, and we of course talked to the Agency on Aging about moving the Friendship Cafe, and Jacob and I have been starting to talk to them and others about doing some programming in there once the building is ready. So we're excited about all of that.
Excellent.
And then grant-wise, we have applied for, someone has applied on our behalf actually, for a $20,000 grant for the park and for playground-related expenses. And Floyd County Cares has been kind enough to be the intermediary for us on that. So hopefully that will work. And if it does, that is a funder we could potentially go back to at least once more. So we're very excited about that. We are coming to the close of the outdoor classroom grant. And so you'll start seeing some of that, actually probably even as soon as over the weekend. They'll be starting to do a little bit more work on that because we got to get it done right away. But we've been very excited. We will probably meet and exceed our match requirement, all of the match, I should say, on that grant is volunteer and staff time. And we have had so much volunteer support on that project that we will hit our required amount without including the staff hours.
Right.
I'll put them in, but we've had really, literally more than $10,000 worth of volunteer hours
Yeah.
that have been put into that project.
Wonderful.
So that's been really exciting, and hats off to the folks who've been doing that. It's been the ACE students, Boy Scouts, the partnership, all those folks have been very
Boy
engaged.
Scouts, yeah, that's just-
All of that. So I think that's all on recreation. We did, today, had a Brazilian soccer camp, up there. So if you went by, there was lots of kids playing soccer, and they were having a great time. That's a financially neutral thing, but it's kind of a new thing for the county, and it seems like it's something that I think they'll come back and do again.
I also saw that the football camp was very well attended and,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, thank you for that. Yeah, football camp was well attended, and I have asked Jacob to go ahead. He has an annual calendar for when registration is open, when registration closes, generally what period of time are games. And so he's had that, but I've asked him to go ahead and get it to Chris. And so we can get that on the website so people will know well in advance what their cutoff dates are in multiple places. We'll also use social media as he has been, but there's been some concern about folks saying they haven't seen it, so we're trying to expand the number of places that it's available.
Good.
EMS billing update. As you know, we're potentially have a staff change there as Myra's let us know she's not gonna stay with us forever. She has these grandchildren and things that she wants to spend time with. And so, we actually have a draft of what we would look at going forward, so we're floating that around internally, and I'll have something for you all to look at the next meeting before we move forward.
Is it, does that involve us still keeping it in-house?
Mm-mm.
All right, I didn't think it would. I will say this much, whoever we go with has to understand our system.
Yes,
Medicare, secondary insurance, drop it.
yep,
Because at one point in time, we did have a little firm way back when,
mhm,
and they never understood that, and some citizens got some fairly ugly letters.
Yep.
And I'm not opposed to taking it outside,
mhm,
but those people, whoever it goes with, have to understand our system and our intent.
yes, yes. I appreciate that, and we certainly understand that, and that's what we have in the draft we've been working with so
Well,
far.
And
Okay.
even so far as to have Steve put a penalty clause in there if they go outside of that.
Okay, yeah, Yeah.
Whatever it takes. I don't wanna go through that again.
yes, I understand, and I think you all have all been very consistently clear about that's been the board's position and continues to be the board's position. Why we're looking at going outside is Myra has actually brought up to us that it really is now become far more work than one person. And in addition to that, with one person, it's very difficult to keep up to speed with all of the different requirements of every different provider. And so there's some potential to be able to potentially get a little bit more payment from the third-party payers. Because we just haven't had really the opportunity to know that you can, Anthem will pay this, but TRICARE will only pay that, or whatever. Because it's just too much for one person to keep up with. But yes, and so it is our intention to not just put out a bid, but actually do interviews with them, and so we can communicate personally your strong feelings about this.
But the only reason I bring it up, that outfit we dealt with,
Mhm.
the people that actually took care of it and did the calling and billing, they were paid a salary, but they made their money on commission.
Mhm.
And that's why they were so
Correct.
gung-ho
Forceful.
and
Right.
forceful. And whatever the company's situation, we,
Mhm.
Yep.
Well, and we'll make sure when we put together the scoring sheet to look at the different companies, that we will put a high value on making sure they keep to the culture and the approach that you all want as the policymakers for the county. so absolutely, we'll do that. If I might, next item, IT update interns, that's really, the folks that we've talked about before that have been working with Chris and Amy, related to elections requirements, but they are also looking at all of our cybersecurity requirements. And so, probably here in, I guess, September, they'll be coming and doing a presentation to Board of Elections and to you all, in part about what they found, but most importantly, Chris is having them work with him, really is the right way to say it, I think, to put together some IT policies about cybersecurity and all those kind of things that we candidly have not had to date.
Yeah.
So we're excited about that. Chris has been working very, very hard with them, and we've been trying our best to get all the money out of them we can. So, questions about that? Next on here is the Xerox lease. Yes. So you heard us mumbling a little bit before. We've had a lot of challenges with our copier, printer, scanner, faxer back there. And recently went about a week and a half without any service, and they brought us a loaner. And now that it's back, it's still not working correctly. In fact, you'll see we've had to Kim's had to actually handwrite the large number of checks. We've had to rerun payroll. It's quite time consuming and very, very frustrating, to say the least. So we're gonna start seeing what unfortunately, we do have a 5-year lease with them, which we're only 2 years into. But we've contacted some other folks to see if there's any way around that, or some other things that we could do. So just to let you know, that might be coming up. Yeah. Prioritization workshop, we've spoken before about trying to do something, maybe at your day meeting in September, make it a longer day, and just wanted to kind of confirm that with you all and move along in that direction. And related to that, I think there is some real interest from some of the other folks that are engaged, in the county in terms of the school board, the EDA, and the town, that they would potentially like to start thinking, and at least hearing a little bit more about how we can all do things together.
Yeah.
And kind of be looking in a similar direction in our own path. So just wanted to put that out for you all, because that's been a lot of conversation. December 13th. So if that works for everybody, we'll try to make sure we have a facilitator, something along that line. Those are the ones that were written down. A couple of other quick ones I wanted to mention to you, one of which is what the chairman showed me his version. I got my own version of the letter today, which is from Virginia DEQ. And this is something that will also be in the paper. It's just alerting everyone that Floyd County PSA has applied for a reissuance of a permit for the public wastewater treatment plant and what all those stipulations are. And so wanted to bring that to your attention. In addition to that, the sheriff's office has just received a new grant. And so, of course, I have to sign off on those, but it's a total budget of another $61,000, so that's very helpful. It is for DCJS grant.
Is that the, resource
Criminal
officer?
justice.
I think it's the school resource officer.
Yeah, right.
So when the sheriff was here talking to us about, he thought
Yeah,
he
he
was
did.
gonna be able to get it, he was able to deliver on that. So,
Great news.
that was included in your budget, but it would've created a hole if they hadn't gotten it.
Yeah, great news.
So that's really good news, and appreciate their really hard work in getting that done. It is, some of their grants are kind of tedious, I will tell you, so it's a lot of hard work. Yeah. Let's see, other things that, I think only other three things I need to mention real quickly is, at your seat, you should all have a letter and then the newest annual report from Onward. I get those, but I ask them to also supply enough for you all, so you can look through and feel free to ask any questions related to that. They've been a very good partner for us recently, well, in general, but certainly for me recently. And I talked to, Kim and I met with our financial folks from Davenport and have kind of talked with them, and we'll probably schedule a presentation from them to you all as a board, just kind of letting you know, this is where we think you are in terms of this is your debt level, this is your financial level. Again, also, when you all are forced to make difficult decisions, you have as much information
Yeah.
as you can to
Will it
make
be
those
in
hard
August?
choices.
In August?
I think that we're also thinking is probably gonna be September.
Okay,
Because we'll have to close out our books,
right.
and then they'll have to have some time to look at what we send them after we
Okay.
close out. The final thing was just brought to my attention, I guess, yesterday maybe, which is there is a seat on the library board. And I think this might have gotten, kind of fallen between the cracks, but, the person who's been in that, there's 2 seats. And the person that's been in there, Megan is not gonna be, I think she's got, you can only go 8 years.
Yeah,
And she has
term.
done that, so Kareem has asked us about, there is someone who has stepped up that would like to, but wanted to double check with you all how you wanted to handle that, and
Can
just
I
let
ask
me
who
know.
has stepped up?
Well, before we get a name,
Yeah.
normally,
I don't know
You
how this is
advertise.
normally done, so that's why I'm bringing it to y'all, because most
appointments are
things are
normally
written.
advertised.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that one would be an at-large person, it wouldn't have to be somebody from the Pacific District.
Correct.
Normally, what we've done in the past, pre-pandemic and whatever, is if like a position comes open, you advertise it.
Right.
Mhm.
And then this person could, then we
Right.
can interview them and, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times we didn't find too many people and we had to appoint, so it's great to know
Mhm.
that there's somebody already interested.
Yes. So,
We need to jump through the hoops,
okay.
keep it legal.
So we'll go ahead and advertise and schedule interviews for you all. So that's the last thing that I needed,
When
was
is her
guidance on that.
term? Is it over?
Sorry?
Sorry.
Sorry, we got an email from somebody else we've been chasing here. I think the term, well, I don't know. I don't
Okay.
wanna give you wrong information,
All
so I don't know, but we will
I can
move it,
answer
yeah, we will move forward.
Okay.
Question? I heard a question. Just
I
one
was
more.
just telling him before he shut it down, but I was just waiting on y'all to
Just
finish.
one more.
One thing you didn't touch on was in the correspondence and the stuff going on with the cameras and stuff at the
Uh-huh.
one green box site.
Okay.
We following his recommendations instead of the other?
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
That's why
I
we
think
have
so.
our esteemed IT director.
Okay.
Well, I was just asking if we
What is it
were,
called? Isn't he an IT director?
IT manager.
Whatever
Manager?
you want to call me.
He's Chris.
Yeah.
as long as he gets a check, he's
I
happy.
like
That's
director.
Chris.
All right, IT
All right.
manager.
All right, well,
I-
we will offer what Chris has come up with before, and if that is not acceptable, then we have some other locations that we could move that equipment to, so it wouldn't be
Excellent.
wasted. And, yeah,
You can move it to the Little River.
Any update?
I'll buy
And
it.
that lead, any update on the Route 8 site yet?
Mark has been out with family illness the last couple of
Oh,
days,
okay.
so yes. Yes,
Yeah, I thought about that too as I was, yeah.
Well, I
yeah,
had to ask, I'm
I know.
sorry.
yeah. Anyway, I think, unless Kim's got something else, I think that is our whole list until we see you all again.
So I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved?
I'll second.
Motion second, called roll.
All right, on the motion to adjourn, Ms. Gickenbook,
Yes.
Ms. Bechtel,
Yes.
Mr. Cox.
Yes.
Mr. Booth,
Yeah.
and Mr. Turner. All right, I believe you stand adjourned.